Welcome to the Hollywood Garbage Dump Review, where this evening we'll be stepping outside the Hollywood bubble once again, as we did with Disney and Netflix, to take a look at DreamWorks' Boss Baby. You can see an image of the Boss Baby on your screen, released in 2017, and more or less a children's movie, but as we'll see, there's more involved in this movie than just babies, or even a boss baby. It's a movie that was so well received by those who made it, they're not only doing a part 2, Boss Baby Family Business, due for release later this year, but they've got a cartoon series in association with Netflix. So what is it that the Boss Baby is about? Is there anything more than just a kids movie that we should be concerned about? Well, as you know, if you watched my prior Hollywood Garbage Dump and other garbage dump reviews, what we do is we look for hidden imagery and symbols. Things not so obviously associated with the title or theme of the movie, but that are significant nonetheless, especially when they're repeated and placed in scenes over and over again, but in ways that appear intentional, deliberate, and done to embed these images and symbols in the scenes without drawing too much attention to them. So for example, here we're looking at the opening animation logo of DreamWorks. Many of us are familiar with the boy sitting on the half moon or the crescent moon with his fishing pole. And sometimes they add different images with the DreamWorks logo. Here you have the boy in the crescent moon surrounded by 4-pointed and 8-pointed stars. And you also have what appears to be a baby bottle and a pacifier. Now, as we know, the association and coupling of stars and a crescent moon is often related to the images that are on the Baphomet, the androgynous goat god, representing Pan, an ancient god. And here you can see that the Baphomet has crescent moons on the upper left and lower right, and the 5-pointed star in the middle of its forehead. So I want you to keep in mind the coupling of the crescent moon and the stars as we go through this garbage dump review. And note also the form and shape of this pacifier, because it looks an awful lot like images associated with an ancient goddess known to many as Tanit, but to those who are familiar with the Bible as Ashtoreth, the consort of Baal Haman of ancient Carthage. Baal being an ancient enemy of Jah, symbolized frequently by the planet Saturn. But here on this stele, we see imagery associated with Baal's consort Tanit, or Ashtoreth. And you can see here what looks like that pacifier, doesn't it? It seems to me to bear a striking similarity to the image related to Tanit. And so you see here a sort of pacifier type image above the double triangle or pyramid, below which you see an image of a woman with her hands up. And at the very top you have this sort of petaled flower. Note the shape of those petals. And then on each side near the bottom you have 2 anchors. All of this imagery associated with the ancient Carthaginian goddess of fertility, Ashtoreth or Tanit. The images you see on this stele will come up repeatedly, and I believe are also in part on display here. But let's go further and see how this imagery is further revealed. This is a scene where the opening words of the movie are stated, and what they are is survival of the fittest. It's the law of the jungle. And while the fittest do often tend to survive, we know that's usually a belief associated with evolution, a non-God view of life, the mutation of different species from existing species, which ultimately never developed or were created by an intelligent life. This is how many evolutionists see things. But we know this is not true or even scientific. It's a theory put forth to try to explain what is observed, none of which fits the type of thinking associated with species mutation into new species capable of reproducing life in a symmetrical way, fully ready to provide utility to its environment. All life forms have this symmetry and utility. There's no evidence in the fossil record or in present life that shows this transition from species to species and then this gradual adaptation to bilateral symmetry, in our case, life, or any of the other symmetrical life forms that you see on the planet today. They're not working their way to being complete life forms. They already are, and they always have been. There have just been developments of those kinds within a kind, not mutation of brand new species accidentally. There's no evidence supporting a view of that kind. So when we get a kids movie, not only opening up with all this imagery and symbolism associated with the Baphomet, right? The crescent moon and stars. And then we get the pacifier image, could be associated with the god Tanit. Right after which we get the opening words, survival of the fittest. Right? So there's no real God view here. There might be a associated goddess view, but really the question then becomes, how serious are the representations of even these goddesses or gods like Baal? In either case, they're associated with evolutionary thinking. And so as we move forward, 7 seconds after the evolutionary introduction and thinking, we get the diamond pattern, familiar to those of us who've watched my garbage dump reviews, because it's come up over and over again. And if you watch my Netflix's Cuties garbage dump review, you'll see it prominently featured over and over again, as well as in the other movies I've reviewed. And you can check the links and the information I provide in those videos for much of the imagery and symbolism I'm going to talk about today, if you're not already familiar with it. I will be highlighting certain things like images and symbolism related to Tanit. But for some things I've discussed pretty extensively to this point, see my prior garbage dump reviews. And here we get one of the familiar patterns, diamond, pyramid, as above, so below, MK Ultra butterfly association pattern in these pyramids on the black tile inlays. Then, about 20 seconds later, we get this scene filled with 5-pointed stars. Not too surprising because it's space, but look at how they've colored this planet over here to be like a moon, if not a moon. Right? It has the crescent moon shape with the 5-pointed stars. And so once again, very similar to what we see on the Baphomet. There's also kind of a third eye look here. This planet looks like a face. It's got kind of a mouth down here, 2 eyes, and then sort of what looks like it could be a third eye here. 30 seconds later, we get to this scene where the family is presented within a triangular pyramid, referred to as the strongest shape in nature. But as you're going to see, this pyramid triangle shape is going to come up over and over again. Just like it has in all of my prior garbage dump reviews, to differing degrees, but it's featured prominently. And it's featured in this movie probably most of all. This is the first scene. Now we move to a shot of the Topical rocket, which has the checkerboard pattern. Here, Timmy's parents are putting him to bed, but if you look on the walls, what do you see? What did I say you'd see repeatedly, maybe even more times in this movie and review than in all of my prior garbage dump reviews or even those movies? You see the pyramids all over the wall. And then over to the left, you see a wizard here. He's got 5-pointed stars and a crescent moon on him as well. We'll get back to him. Here we get a shot of Boss Baby naked with part of his rear end showing, which wouldn't be so bad, I guess, but the song playing at this point, and as this is just the first of many naked babies that are coming down this assembly line or conveyor system, is I'm in Heaven. So you have this song, I'm in Heaven, with all these naked babies flashing across the screen. It just seemed like something a pedo would definitely think up in order to show their appreciation for naked babies, right? I mean, it's not the kind of thing I think of when I see a naked baby, right? I'm in heaven, right? Children are a gift from heaven, but, you know, that's not how we see them in their nudity, as us being in heaven as a result of seeing naked babies, right? So that's what is being presented here. The song, I'm in Heaven, while these naked babies roll across your screen. And then just a few seconds later, we see the baby looking up at a glistening 8-pointed star that's elongated. So it's the primary feature in this shot. But if you count the points again, 8-pointed star of Ishtar, just like you see next to it. This comes up frequently, just like it did in the opening scene with the DreamWorks logo and the crescent moon. Here we see it again. Right? Obviously, the baby's looking up at the building, right? But the building is in the shape of what? 8-pointed star of Ishtar. They're always using some kind of imagery and symbolism with certain meanings when it comes to elements that are significant in the scenes I'm going to show you. Look at the next one. Here, we've been talking about Tenet and child sacrifice and pedophilia, right? The androgynous Baphomet, the goat god Pan, and the diamond pattern, the naked babies with the song I'm in Heaven. As that continues and the babies, they get little booties for their feet and they get diapers, this part of the conveyor system is popping pacifiers into their mouths. But Boss Baby got turned around. So he's about to get that pacifier in his rear end. And, he starts to see that pacifier is going to get, plunged down into his rear end. And he turns around like at the last fraction of a second. And then it pops into his mouth. But again, the imagery brought to your mind here is that the pacifier is going to be inserted into the baby's rear end. And so you have a sex simulation type thing here, which is really inappropriate, no matter what, especially given what a problem pedophilia is with Hollywood. To just show a baby's rear end and about to get, suppositoried is not appropriate. We don't need to have those images and thoughts put in our mind, nor do children. Yet, here we are. Now, here the baby's coming down the slide in the conveyor system, and if you look closely at the background, you can see the as above, so below pyramids. They're also on the side and at the corners. Really, when they create that kind of pattern, we saw this a lot in my Captain Marvel review, where they were able to feature the diamond pyramid as above, so below pattern very frequently. And again, in many of my garbage dump reviews, if not all of them, but to differing degrees. The Captain Marvel review showed many of these, and here, again, we see it in the background, in addition to what we've seen already. We're just getting started, but I'm going to point out the ones that, again, are either in some way hidden or not obvious, but that have significance. And then you can determine whether the aggregate of instances of all of these things are significant or not. It'd be one thing if we just saw one or two or three, maybe four here and there. We have many, many times more. And I'm not going to show everyone, right, because many are repeated, but I'm going to show you instances of unique examples so you can gauge the significance. Here in this scene, the train runs along the track, and you see this suspended purple figure. He's got this prominent 5-pointed star on his back. And it comes right into focus, close up in your face as the scene comes along. That train goes around and brings that 5-pointed star right up close in your face. This was just the best point at which I could stop it. So again, we get the 5-pointed star featured prominently, moving right towards us. Right after that, you get a scene. This is literally 3 seconds after this scene right here with the 5-pointed star goes right to this as the train moves around the room. And here you have quite a few things, right? You have this 5-pointed star right here. You got a little pyramid here. Reference to Las Vegas right here. And Las Vegas comes up frequently in this movie and is a big part of it at the end. Yet it seems forced. It seems like almost paid advertisement because it doesn't really make sense. They're using Las Vegas as a launching pad for this forever puppy that's competing with the cuteness of babies. And they're going to launch a rocket out of the Las Vegas Convention Center with a bunch of puppies in it. It just doesn't make any sense. So it doesn't really fit to have Las Vegas. You could have had any place and just focused on the whole puppies and babies, but they really bring in Las Vegas, which is obviously not a good place for children. Or even for adults, right? Depending on what your habits and practices are. Either way, we have a star, 5-pointed pyramid, Las Vegas, and 2, if you look at the lower left corner, skull and bones images on these flags. And of course, the skull and bones imagery, part of the famous Yale Society, founded in 1832, that really only promotes abuse, right? Is in no way, in any way associated with wholesome thinking or spirituality, right? And so to have these things, again, I realize it's a kid's toy, a pirate ship, but it comes up over and over again, as you're going to see. This is just the first time I'm showing you. We get these skull and bones imagery. It matches, the society, the secret society that's very influential in the world, obviously related in some way to politics and even Hollywood. People who are related to or involved with skull and bones would be in some way influential over different segments of society. And then you have the wizard, right? Look at the wizard. You have his 5-pointed stars on his robe with the crescent moon again. I mean, this has come up several times already. And we're only about 6.5 minutes into the movie. And then look at the staff. right? You have the pedo swirl staff. So, and then you also have the pyramids on the wall in the background. We've got it all, right? We've got skull and bones imagery. We've got Baphomet imagery. And we have pedo imagery. Here's the pedo swirl as part of the FBI's symbols and logos used by pedophiles to identify sexual preferences. The pedo swirl being the boy lover. And look right below it. You know how I bring up often the diamond pyramid pattern, and I'm going to again more in this review. There you see it on those rings right below the pedo swirl. We'll come back to these girl lover symbols in a moment. But here in this one shot, we've got the pedo boy lover swirl. We've got the Baphomet imagery, crescent moon and 5-pointed star. We've got the skull and bones. And we have pyramids and other 5-pointed stars together with Las Vegas on the background. This is a kid's room. Here's a closer shot of the skull and bones. This is really the next shot. It comes, it does a close-up of it. This isn't me making a close-up. This is actually another shot in addition to this in the movie. Now, here on Tim's bed, take a close look and tell me what you see. I'm sure you see the white and green here, but look over to the left. Look at that symbol right there. It's kind of like a cross in a way, but it's different, right? It's got like another bar. That's because it seems to me to relate to this, the satanic cross. Now, what's interesting here is you can see it's here shown attached to what is often referred to as the Ouroboros, right? Or the snake eating itself, a sign of infinity. That's interesting because that infinity sign, that kind of sideways 8, is going to come up again. Here, though, I want you to focus on the first part, the top part of the satanic cross, because that's a unique pattern when you say with the long bar and then the short bar. And that's exactly what you see on Timmy's bedsheet. Here again, now, the boy's up looking for a hat, and we get a prominent skull and bones right in our lower left corner. It's again, you can look it up. It's a well-known symbol for an occultic secret society. Another one of the hats on the wall. In addition to the pyramids, right? Pyramids all over the wall. You have this 5-pointed star hat and the skull and bones hat. Now remember when I told you we would be coming back to the symbols we observe here on the Tanit stele. Carthaginian fertility goddess Tanit, known in the Bible as Ashtoreth, consort of Baal of Haman. Baal often represented by Saturn, which is coming up. But here we see Tanit, the sort of pacifier look, the pyramid triangles, 2 anchors, and this petaled flower design here. And that's what we have right here. It would be one thing if this was the only instance of this kind of petaled look. Right? Obviously there's quite a few petals in there, but look at the way the petals are shaped. And this is important because it's going to come up over and over again, as well as the imagery of the triangles and pyramids, pacifier, and the anchors. It's not just one, it's all of them. or most, right? I mean, there's many squares. I'm not focusing on the easy symbols. I'm focusing on the more notable ones that stand out. Whereas we could see boxes and circles almost anywhere. So here we get one of the first instances, if not the first, of that kind of petaled flower. And I'm going to point it out many more times, and I'm not even going to point out all of the times. It comes up over and over again on numerous different pieces of furniture or here in the outdoors throughout this movie. This petaled flower is everywhere in The Boss Baby. Here are three of them right there. Here we get a one-eye shot at the arrival of the Boss Baby. And then we get a combination of things here, really, right? We get the checkerboard pattern on the tablecloth and the diamond pyramid pattern we've been seeing increasingly more as we go through this review, and which we observed frequently in my prior garbage dump reviews. And now we get the gigantic image of Saturn, which represents Baal, the consort of the Carthaginian goddess Tanit, or Ashtoreth. And here you see a couple of things as well. The checkerboard pattern on the tablecloth. You got the diamond pyramid, as above, so below. Checkerboard pattern on the floor. I love these checkerboard floors because it's an easy way to get that pattern in there. And then it will come up numerous times more. But look at the stroller, right? So we saw those petaled flowers on the animated dinosaur era rocks. And here we see them on a stroller, right? The Tanit petaled flowers, as well as the checkerboard diamond pattern floor and tablecloth. Here's another shot of the diamond pyramid pattern of the checkerboard floor with its diagonal shapes emphasized. This comes up frequently, not just the floor. The floor comes up several times more, and I'm not going to show them all. But I wanted to show this one because it's like a major part of the scene right after, you know, other floor shots, petal shots, different things that we've been seeing, right? Saturn. And then we get another naked baby rear end. And, you know, he's... in this shot, this is a mask, as you can see. He's kind of looking up through the water. And then the rear end of the baby is just thrown right in your face. So they love showing off the naked baby, and especially the rear end. As we saw with that pacifier conveyor system shot and the associations that they wanted us to draw with that. Now we get our third Tanit petal shot. We've seen it on the lava rocks. We saw it on the stroller. Now it's on the back of a chair. I don't know that I've ever seen a baby stroller matching a dining table chair pattern. I didn't know those sold together. Oh well. Let's see what else might be sold as a set involving these Tanit petal patterns. How about a cup? Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll make a matching set of table chairs, baby strollers, and cups that all have the same petals as that ancient Carthaginian goddess Tanit, who also has this sort of pacifier look or symbol, and whose consort is Baal, represented by Saturn. Yeah, we'll put those petals on pretty much anything we can find, right? Regardless of whether they're sold as a set or not. Here we have, once again, one eye Illuminati shot, together with the numerous five-pointed stars on the robe of the wizard. And as part of almost the same scene, it just moves away from this scene over to the right a little bit. And which you get more prominently displayed both the one eye of the boy in the picture, 5-pointed stars on the robe of the wizard, but you also get these 5-pointed stars on the bucket, and the pedo swirl right in the middle, prominently featured, as if we can't tell. Right after that scene, right after this, we go to a scene where the books are inverted, and we know how important inversion is to a lot of these people who promote the Baphomet, the as above, so below, a belief system. You get these 3 inverted books on the bedspread with the satanic cross. Satanic cross, absent the Ouroboros bottom part, which will come up multiple times. Just you wait. And here we have the boy walking into a room which, upon walking into, has this sort of sun look to it, doesn't it? I mean, you have the sunlight represented by the brighter yellow light here, and then you have the kind of sun mirror right here, right below which you have numerous as above, so below diamond pyramid-shaped patterns all across that bedspread. Right after this, so he walks into this room and then into this room. Now, when I saw that, I immediately thought sun, right? Because I have a sun. I literally have a sun here on the wall. Well, literally in the sense of the depiction in the mirror, right? With the type of sunlight, yellowish type bright light, pyramids everywhere. Sun, moon, right? Here's even a sort of moon clock, kind of like moon rays. I guess you could argue that's a sun or a star too. Maybe this is the moon is the lampshade and this is a star. But it's clearly night here, right? They're sleeping. It's blue and darker, whereas this is bright and light. Sun, moon, star. Moon, star. And here on the table, of course, it wouldn't be a pedo-friendly movie without pizza. We move on to the next scene with Boss Baby, again, is seated in his tannet flower petal pattern chair with 5-pointed stars decorating the lampshade next to him. All right, so here we get a few things. We have the wizard, once again prominently displaying his 5-pointed star and crescent moon, reminding us of the 5-pointed star and the crescent moons of the Baphomet. We get the pedo swirl staff right out front and center, as if we can't tell. And we get a giant T on Timmy's bed. And you'll find as well, if you look it up, that the image of a T was often used for tannet. Here we get the wizard changed out of his 5-pointed star and crescent moon outfit. Oh, I forgot we have the satanic cross here on the bedspread again, in addition to the other imagery and symbolism shown here. We'll get to the Ouroboros part of that satanic cross in a moment. But the wizard goes from a Baphomet type style to a Freemasonic black and white style. I realize he's in jail now, but still, right? I mean, if your only outfits reflect the Baphomet and Freemasonry colors, there might be something there. Now we're back to the pacifier, right? The pacifier, which just happens to look a lot like this symbol here for tannet, that's over this triangle here that was used to enclose the family earlier in the movie as the strongest structure in nature, together with all the associations we've seen in the types of petals on this image. Here the pacifier comes up again, but not so much because of the symbol potentially related to Tenet. What happens here, the boss baby hands it to Timmy, like you see. And Timmy responds, "What do you want me to do with that?" The boss baby replies, "I want you to suck it." The boy replies, "I don't know where that thing's been." Right? Obvious association. When someone says you don't know where that thing's been, tends to make people think of your rear end and where they don't want something to be. Or certainly something not good, right? You don't know where it's been. There's associations and imagery related to that expression that's very similar to the type of imagery and thoughts that were provided to us by means of the conveyor imagery and Boss Baby's rear end about to be penetrated by a pacifier. Here are the pacifiers again. The Boss Baby wants Tim to suck it. Tim says, "I don't know where it's been." Boss Baby then replies, "It's not where it's been." In other words, who cares, Timothy? Who cares if it was in my rear end? It almost was, but that's not what it's about. He says it's not where it's been. It's where it'll take you. Tell me that is not propaganda and education. Right? I mean, this is an education. This is basically trying to teach kids, you want to get ahead, you're going to have to suck something. You're going to have to do something you don't want to do, even if it's something that you don't know where it's been into. That's what they're presenting here. This idea that you're going to have to do some things you don't like that involves sucking things you don't know where it's been. But it's where it'll take you need to focus on. Forget about the sucking of something that you don't know where it's been. Think about where it'll take you. That's how they're luring all these kids into these movies and into these communities in Hollywood and elsewhere where they're abusing these children as part of being in these movies. Yeah, it'll take you somewhere. You'll be in these movies, and then you'll not be able to function going to the bathroom normally. You're going to have a lot of other problems. But they don't care. They're trying to educate our children here. In this movie about babies, fine, a boss baby. This is disgusting. Trying to teach a young child, to have a baby teach a child, that you should suck things that you don't like, that you don't know where they've been because of where they'll take you. Incredible. So then they go through this big sucking contest, and they start sucking the pacifier so hard it sends them into this pedo swirl. It's right here. This is what happens. They disappear into this pedo swirl. And then they're flying through this kind of, heavenly realm. And then they go through this pedo swirl, which takes them into baby core. But again, all the pacifier sucking something you don't know where it's been, not wanting to because of where it'll take you, followed by these two pedo swirl transportation areas. And then right when they get into baby court, they land on the floor, and look at what we see. We see this diamond pyramid pattern here on the sombrero. So it's all over the place. It would be one thing, as I said previously, if we only observed these images or symbols a few times. I mean, the whole sucking of the pacifier because of where it'll take you. That in and of itself should have gotten the movie flagged as a pedo-friendly movie. As something you need to warn your kids that this movie tries to indoctrinate young children into pedo-friendly actions, like sucking things that you don't want to suck, that you don't know where they've been because of where they'll take you. That's grooming. That's educating your kids using this movie to do something they don't want to do because it's what these sick pedos want them to do. And here, Timmy, when he gets to baby core and he realizes, this is where babies come from, he whispers to the boss baby about, what appears to be the actual way babies are made through heterosexual sex, not homo. Homosexuals are not able to have children. They don't have sex the right way. It's incorrect sex. It's abuse, as I've shown, and is easy to show, and as everybody knows is the case. It's legal abuse. Pedophilia is illegal abuse. Homosexuality is legal abuse, like abortion. It only damages the involved parties. That's it. There's not one single health benefit from homosexuality. None. And there are numerous health disadvantages and dangers. But here, heterosexuality is presented as disgusting. The boy whispers to Boss Baby about sex and how he thought that's how babies were made, through heterosexual sex. And then they both speak outwardly about how that's disgusting, when it's one of the most beautiful things in creation, if not the most beautiful in the physical creation. Yet these disgusting pedos are not only grooming kids to suck things because of where they'll take you, but they openly promote homosexual relationships in ways that are going to destroy anyone who gets involved with them. You want to be a homo? This is what it comes with. You're free to do that, but you're going to lose your rear end and about 20 years average loss of life. Not to mention the life quality, disease, anal cancer, immunosuppression. There are so many problems with gay relationships. We need to do a better job educating homosexuals because they're failing, as I showed in my Watchtower Apostates and Homosexuality video. And then we get the promotion of pedophilia with heterosexuality here in this scene being presented as disgusting. You know what I find disgusting? Using fecal matter to lubricate your sex acts, right? Ripping open your anus, which is a toxic waste removal exit-only organ. It's not meant to be repetitively penetrated by a hardened penis. Penis is part of sex, I'm sorry. But this is what they're telling us is okay. And it's not okay, and I'm no longer going to tolerate it by pretending I can't speak about it for what it is. They're not going to do it. I'm going to do it so everybody knows what it is. And I think we already do. We've just been made to be afraid of what we know is true. Those days are over. We're going to present facts and information. If people can't handle it, well, they can change their station. So let's move on. Just really a terrible representation to kids about the beauty of heterosexuality. Once again, we get the diamond pyramid pattern, as I've been highlighting for you all, and as I told you, would show itself repetitively. I always say repeatedly or repetitively, alternately, but I mean repetitively. Or repeatedly, I guess, right? Either way, it happens over and over again. So there's obviously something to it. And here it is again, all the way up to the ceiling, these gigantic doors, right? These gigantic displays of these diamond pyramid sexual abuse and MK Ultra friendly images that only hurt people and never help them. Here we get a prominent display of a 5-pointed star on a little toy wooden box. Right after that, Boss Baby jumps into his tannet flower petal decorated chair. Here, in addition to this crescent moon and 5-pointed star decoration over a baby's crib, I guess that's a way of getting the young baby familiar with the imagery of the Baphomet. They're so happy here and working together because they've agreed they hate each other so much. They're going to work together to get rid of each other. Another horrible theme, even if you're joking, to feature the way they do here in a kid's movie. And again, once again, in association with the crescent moon and 5-pointed star imagery. Here we get a shot of the diamond pattern on the wall, along with the half sun shown inside the room and the pyramids on the bed sheet, along with the baby's naked rear end. Then we get a shot of the boy and the baby surrounded. You know, this scene really made no sense why they dressed each other up. They're trying to fool their parents into thinking they're getting along so that they can follow them, or that they take them with them to Las Vegas so they could be at this Topical convention. So the boy and the baby actually make this picture. And they put on these sailor outfits. And then this picture frame comes up with these two anchors on the side, right? Remember what I showed you earlier? The two anchors of Tanit. We have that right here. And we've seen in prior shows, especially in this case in particular, the Netflix Cuties Garbage Dump review, we talked about the 8-spoked ship wheel as also being a representation of the 8-point star of Ishtar. But here, we've got the two anchors, very similar to the two anchors on the Tanit stele. In addition to all the other Tanit symbolism, flower petals, triangles, and the pacifier image. Then we get to another scene involving the pyramid diamond as above, so below pattern. We saw this early in the movie, and then we saw it repeatedly throughout the movie to this point, and here again. And here we get a bunch of hexagons, the significance of which I discussed in my Captain Marvel movie, but once again, here you can see it prominently displayed as the pattern on the sidewalk. Now, let's take a good close look at this here. We've got the one eye, right? I mean, that probably is something you noticed right away. You got the baby with one eye, you got the boy with one eye, and it's the left and the right eye, each of which has significance. But you also have the checkerboard pattern, right? Diamond pyramid checkerboard pattern. Notice these hearts. You know how we've talked about the pedo swirl, right? We saw the pedo swirl on the wizard staff. We saw the pedo swirl when they were doing the pacifier sucking contest, and they disappeared into it, and then they disappeared into the baby core pedo swirl. And how the pedo swirl is shown as one of the symbols on the FBI's list, as is the heart within a heart, girl lover symbol. And that's what we have right here. We have seen not only the boy lover symbol repeatedly, but now we're seeing the heart within the heart, together with one eye on each and the checkerboard diamond pyramid pattern. They load these scenes up, everyone. This is the forever puppy, the thing that is going to put an end to the cuteness of babies, at least according to the movie. And look at what you see radiating all around it. Remember what I told you you would see at some point. The other part of the satanic cross, which in its own right is its own symbol of infinity, the Ouroboros. And we've seen the satanic cross part with the two bars numerous times, and here we get the Ouroboros. And it's not the only time. Here it is again. Right, so we have seen multiple times both the double crossbar pattern and the sideways 8 or infinity symbol of the Ouroboros in this kids movie, Boss Baby. And of course, a forever puppy, right? Forever, that's related to the symbol you see here, showing they understand that that symbol is a symbol of infinity. They know exactly what they're putting in the movie. It's a forever puppy. So they know this is the Ouroboros. This is the symbol of infinity. Just like they know this is the other part on Timmy's bed of the satanic cross. Here's another better shot of that heart within a heart. Right? We showed it before. You get the checkerboard pattern and everything as well. But really the heart within the heart right here. I mean, it's unmistakable. Is it not? The diamond pyramid pattern, right, also relates to the butterfly as well, like we saw in the Netflix Cuties Garbage Dump review. But we're getting both of these pedophilia symbols throughout this movie, as well as the diamond pyramid pattern you see here on that ring, where it concerns kids and babies, as well as the other imagery and symbols that clearly seem to be promoting child abuse, child sacrifice, and things that are not good. Here we get a close-up of the sombrero toy with the diamond pyramid pattern once again. Little tweaked out eye look there as well. And now we get a shot of the anchor with what also to me looks like the tenet symbol. Let's go back to that. We've been looking at this quite a bit, right? Because we've seen the flower petals in numerous instances on numerous different items. We've seen the double anchors, one on each side. We've seen the triangle, pyramid. And then there's this pacifier symbol. You have kind of this woman with her hands out, and it's not always the hands up. It can also be the hands to the side. If you look up images of Tenet, you'll see that she's also shown with her hands straight out. Well, if you look at that, if you look at this image of the woman and you just put her hands straight out with the pacifier, you kind of have that right here. Here's the pacifier. Here's the woman with her hands out. So I believe we certainly have the anchor, right? And we know that the anchor is itself a part of the Tenet symbolism. But I think also the whole crescent moon here and the woman image come into play as part of the anchor. Now here you get the T, which is for Timmy, but again, T can also represent Tenet. Inside the 5-pointed star, with 5-pointed stars on the gas tank, 5-pointed stars coming out the gas exhaust, and 2 5-pointed stars on each side of the front wheel. We then get to a scene involving a bunch of Elvis impersonators. This kind of gives them the idea of the baby and Timmy of pretending to be an Elvis impersonator so they can get on the plane and get to Las Vegas. And it's really weird. Makes no sense. But either way, here on the belt, you've got the diamond pattern once again and more 5-pointed stars. Here's another Elvis impersonator you can see on his belt, featured prominently once again, a 5-pointed star. Here we've got Tim with the Boss Baby, and he's got like another pirate with a skull and bones on the hat, plus both he and the toy are showing the one eye. We get another one-eyed shot with skull and bone symbol once again. Another one-eyed shot, this time on the Boss Baby with more skull and bones. And then here, you thought we were done with the pedo stuff, huh? Well, a lot of it's pedo stuff, but I mean the more overt stuff. The stuff you can actually go to the FBI's list of pedo symbols and see unmistakably. Right there. It's like right in our face. Hearts within hearts for at least the second time, in addition to the boy pedo swirls we've seen throughout Boss Baby. But here, I mean, anyone who's familiar with the FBI symbol of girl lover, and you see this movie, I don't know how you could miss it. I could see where maybe you'd miss the one on the floor we showed earlier just because, you know, it's got all the other stuff and it's on the floor. But here, like I said, they're right in our face with it. Here we get the older guy who's really one of the, I guess, famous boss babies who got older, stopped drinking his special milk formula. But look at on his chest. Once again, you get they have a shadow of something projecting a diamond pyramid pattern. We've seen it repeatedly throughout this movie review. And even here, look, on the underside of the handrail, you get that diamond pyramid pattern that we saw in the sombrero hat, right? When they first came into babycore on the ground, the image. And then on the toy sombrero hat, right? And which is also a part of the pedo imagery on these rings. On both sides, over here too on the left. And we're getting near the end, and there are two little creatures from babycore, it looks like. Got the diamond pattern on the wall all over the place. It's all throughout the house. Remember, we saw it on those other blue diamond patterns. Here it is on the pink wall. And here we have two 5-pointed stars over each of the adults' heads, causing them to lose memory of the events. And we're not done with the pedo swirl stuff. It just keeps going, right? I mean, we saw numerous swirls on the wizard staff, the pedo swirls after sucking the pacifier, going into babycore. And now here on this slide, a gigantic pedo swirl that can't help but make one think of the pedo swirl here in association with all the other things we've seen, including diamond pyramid patterns like here, and the girl lover symbols of the heart within a heart. It's all right here, everyone. Prominently featured for you and your children. We don't want to forget the pyramid symbol that enclosed the family earlier, only as you'll recall, initially when the pyramid enclosed the family, it was right side up, was it not? Here, it's upside down. Now you understand why I have been repeatedly showing you the as above, so below diamond pyramid patterns, because they're everywhere. Shown in these scenes repeatedly, along with the other imagery of five-pointed stars, skull and bones, pedo squirrels, pedo hearts within hearts. They're basically telling you what they mean by it when they show you an upright pyramid and then an upside down pyramid. As above, so below. That's why they're filling these movies with as above, so below diamond pyramid shape patterns. That's why they repeatedly give us the one eye shots, followed by pyramid shots. Because we all know the one eye and the pyramid are a prominent symbol on the US $1 bill backside, representing the all-seeing eye of Horus, the Great Pyramid, the capstone on the pyramid, Luciferianism, anti-Christianism. They're showing us these things because they believe these things, and they're trying to educate our children to believe these things so that both they and we will be more accepting of the culture that they are developing, which is pedophilia, anal abuse, boy and girl abuse, homo abuse, and really the exact opposite of love. So while they may be preparing part 2 and cartoons for you and your children involving Boss Baby, don't forget the different things we've seen, the different images and symbols that they have prominently featured repeatedly in this children's movie for no apparent reason. Because none of these things have anything to do with Boss Baby.